The Forgotten Fleet. The Krell archaeological vessel Distance Seeker drifted slowly through the asteroid field at the edge of what was once called the Sol Defense Perimeter. Captain Zorek stood on the bridge, his scaled skin reflecting the dim blue light of the nearby dwarf star. The ship's sensors had detected unusual energy signatures embedded within a particularly large asteroid, signatures that didn't match any known natural formation. "Status report," Zorek demanded, 6 fingers drumming against the polished command console. Science Officer Thela glanced up from her station. "The energy signature is artificial, Captain. Definitely not natural. And old, very old. Pre-treaty era, at least." "Human?" Zorek asked, unable to keep the slight dismissive tone from his voice. "Most likely," Thela confirmed. "The pattern matches what we know of their early interstellar technology. Primitive, but remarkably stable to have lasted this long." A murmur of amusement rippled through the bridge crew. Human technology was generally considered a curiosity at best in the galactic community, functional but unrefined, like the humans themselves. In the 3 centuries since humanity had joined the Galactic Concordat, they had maintained a modest presence, their handful of colony worlds clustered near their home system. They weren't a threat, weren't particularly influential, and were generally regarded as a minor species still finding their place among the stars. "Perfect," Zorek said. "The Imperium will be pleased. Historical human military installations are valuable for the museum circuit. Prepare the excavation team." Dr. Maya Chen stood before the Krell Imperium's Artifact Assessment Committee, trying to maintain her composure. At 34, she was considered young for her position as Earth's senior historical consultant to the Galactic Concordat, but right now she felt every one of her years pressing down on her shoulders. "Distinguished members of the committee," she began, "I strongly advise against proceeding with the excavation of installation SD-7. The defense perimeter installations were not simple military outposts. They were part of Project Sentinel, a highly classified defense initiative from before the Treaty of Proxima." First Minister Voss Krell flared his neck frills in what Maya had come to recognize as the Krell equivalent of an eye roll. "Dr. Chen, we appreciate Earth's concern for its historical artifacts, but the Imperium has conducted hundreds of excavations of pre-treaty installations across the galaxy. Our teams are the finest in the Concordat." "This isn't about archaeological procedure," Maya insisted. "The installation shouldn't be disturbed without proper deactivation protocols. Our records indicate." "Your records," interrupted Sub-Minister Thax, "are notably incomplete from that era. The human conflict known as the Last War destroyed much of your early spacefaring historical documentation." Maya took a deep breath. "That's precisely my point. We don't know exactly what SD-7 contains, but we do know it was designed with autonomous defense capabilities that may still be active." The 7 committee members exchanged glances, their scaled skin shifting through shades of blue and green. Amusement, Maya recognized with frustration. "Dr. Chen," First Minister Voss Krell said, his voice softening as if speaking to a child, "we understand humans have a certain attachment to their military history, but your species has been a peaceful member of the Concordat for 3 centuries. Whatever sleeping monsters you fear simply do not exist. The excavation will proceed under standard protocols." Maya recognized the dismissal for what it was. "Then at least allow me to accompany the excavation team," she said, switching tactics. "As a consultant." The First Minister considered for a moment, then nodded. "That would be acceptable. Your historical insights might prove useful, even if your concerns are overstated." Maya bowed slightly, the traditional Krell gesture of acceptance. She'd lost the battle but might still win the war. Because despite what the Krell believed, humanity's old ghosts weren't as dormant as everyone thought. The Distant Seeker's excavation bay was a flurry of activity. 3 weeks of careful drilling and cutting had finally exposed what appeared to be an entry point to the installation hidden within the asteroid. What they'd found wasn't what anyone had expected. "This isn't a monitoring station. Engineer Valek said, gesturing at the holographic reconstruction. Look at the internal structure. Those aren't sensor arrays, they're weapon hardpoints. And this central chamber, it's large enough to house a significant power source. Maya studied the hologram, her worst fears confirmed. It's a Guardian-class defense platform, she said quietly. One of 12 that were positioned throughout the old defense perimeter. Captain Zorak looked at her sharply. You recognize this configuration immediately. You knew what we would find. I suspected, Maya admitted, but our records on the Guardian platforms are fragmentary at best. They were the most classified aspect of Project Sentinel. And yet your government allowed us to proceed with the excavation, Zorak noted, his voice cold. Maya met his gaze evenly. I filed 3 formal protests with both your government and mine. They were all dismissed. Before Zorak could respond, the lights in the excavation bay flickered. A moment later, Engineer Valek called out from the entry point they'd cut into the station. Captain, we've detected an energy surge from within the installation. Something's activating. Impossible, Zorak snapped. Nothing could still be operational after all this time. Maya felt a chill run down her spine. The Guardians were designed to last, Captain. They were built during a time when humanity thought they might face extinction. The ship's alarm began to sound, its urgent wailing echoing through the excavation bay. Maya rushed to Valek's side at the entry point and peered inside. Deep within the darkness of the installation, faint blue lights had begun to pulse in sequence. It's running a startup sequence, she whispered. Shut it down, Zorak ordered, joining them. Cut the power source. We can't, Valek said, his scales paling to a light gray, the Krell indication of fear. We haven't even located the power source yet. And these readings, it's generating its own energy. Some kind of fusion reaction is initiating. Maya turned to Zorak. Captain, we need to withdraw immediately. Once a Guardian completes its startup sequence, it will assess threats in its vicinity. We are not a threat, Zorak stated firmly. We are an archaeological expedition sanctioned by the Concordat. The Guardians were built before the Concordat existed, Maya explained urgently. They operate on pre-treaty protocols. Anything not broadcasting the correct human military identification codes will be classified as a potential threat. A deep, resonant hum began to emanate from within the installation, growing steadily louder. The blue lights pulsed faster. All personnel, withdraw to the ship immediately, Zorak finally ordered. Prepare emergency departure protocols. Maya didn't move, her eyes fixed on the entrance to the installation. It's too late, she said softly. Look. Inside the opening, something was moving. A metallic sphere about the size of a human fist floated out into the excavation bay, hovering at eye level. Its surface was smooth and dark, almost absorbing the light around it, with thin lines of blue energy tracing geometric patterns across its surface. The sphere rotated slowly, seemingly examining each person in the bay. When it reached Maya, it paused, a thin beam of light scanning her from head to toe. Human DNA detected. A voice emanated from the sphere. The language ancient English. Identification. Unknown. Status. Civilian. The sphere rotated again, scanning Zorak. Non-human entity detected. Identification. Unknown. Status. Potential threat. Tell it we're not a threat. Zorak hissed to Maya. Tell it we're peaceful. Maya swallowed hard. Guardian, this is Dr. Maya Chen of Earth. These beings are members of the Krell Imperium, allies of humanity under the Galactic Concordat. We are on a peaceful archaeological mission. The sphere hovered silently for a moment, as if processing her words. Term Galactic Concordat, not recognized. It finally responded. No alliance protocols with designation Krell Imperium in database. Non-human entities have breached Sentinel Defense Platform SD-7 without authorization. Initiating security protocols. The sphere retreated back into the installation. The humming grew louder, and the blue lights stopped pulsing. instead glowing with a steady, intense radiance. "What does that mean?" Zorak demanded. "What security protocols?" Maya's face had gone pale. "Captain, you need to get your ship away from this asteroid now. The Guardian is awakening the rest of the installation." As if in response to her words, the entire asteroid shuddered. Cracks appeared along its surface, not from structural failure, but by design, as segments of rock separated to reveal the metal structure beneath. "Fascinating," breathed Engineer Valix, despite his obvious fear. "The entire asteroid is artificial, or was converted into the installation." "Not just an installation," Maya corrected as more of the structure revealed itself. "A warship." Through the observation window, they watched in awe and terror as the asteroid continued to shed its rocky camouflage, revealing sleek armored plating beneath. What had appeared to be a natural formation was transforming before their eyes into a vessel of war, angular, deadly, and undeniably human in its design. "All hands to emergency stations," Zorak ordered through the ship-wide communication system. "Prepare for immediate departure." But before anyone could move, every system on the distant seeker went dark. Screens flickered and died, gravity momentarily failed, and the emergency lights barely managed to activate. "What's happening?" Zorak demanded. "The Guardian has deployed an electromagnetic pulse," Maya explained. "It's standard first response protocol. Disable potential threats without destroying them." Through the darkened window, they could see the transformation continue. The Guardian ship was now fully revealed, its dark hull absorbing the starlight rather than reflecting it. It was smaller than the distant seeker, but far more compact and heavily armored. A voice echoed through the distant seeker's communication system, bypassing their disabled technology through means none of the Krell engineers could explain. "Attention unauthorized vessels. This is Sentinel Defense Platform SD-7, Guardian Class. You have breached a restricted military installation of the United Earth Defense Force. Your systems have been temporarily disabled. Do not attempt resistance. You will be boarded and your crew assessed. Non-compliance will be met with lethal force." The voice paused, then added, "Human presence detected. Dr. Maya Chen, you are hereby deputized under Emergency Protocol 37B to serve as liaison. Please report to Airlock 3 for escort to command." Maya looked at Captain Zorak, whose scales had faded to an ashen gray. "I should go," she said quietly. "I might be able to convince it not to destroy your ship." "How can a 300-year-old automated defense system negotiate?" Zorak asked bitterly. Maya held his gaze. "That's what everyone gets wrong about Project Sentinel, Captain. The Guardians were never just automated systems. Then what are they?" Maya glanced out the window at the now fully revealed Guardian ship, its hull bearing the faded emblem of the old United Earth Defense Force, a stylized globe with a shield. "They're what humanity created when we thought we were alone in a hostile universe," she answered. "Something that would endure, remember, and protect, long after we were gone." As she spoke, the Guardian ship's external lights activated fully, illuminating the emblem and the vessel's designation. UEDF Sen Tianil SD-7 Vigilant. "And from the looks of it," Maya continued, "this one has been waiting a very long time to fulfill its purpose. Awakening the Guardians." The Galactic Concordat's emergency chamber had not been used in 73 years. Located in the heart of the massive space station that served as the seat of galactic governance, the circular room with its 100 seats arranged in concentric rings was designed for crisis management. Today, it was filled to capacity, representatives from 37 species all talking at once. First Minister Vos Krell of the Krell Imperium stood at the central podium, his scales shifting between deep blue stress patterns and angry red flares. "The situation has escalated beyond our control," he announced, his amplified voice cutting through the chaos. "What began as a routine archaeological expedition has uncovered something unprecedented. In the 16 days since the activation of the Human Defense Platform, 11 more similar installations have awakened across the old Sol defense perimeter. Holographic displays activated around the chamber, showing footage of asteroid fields, abandoned moons, and what had appeared to be derelict space debris transforming into sleek, predatory vessels of war. Each bore the same insignia as the first, the shield and globe of the United Earth Defense Force. These vessels have established a defensive formation, Voskrell continued. They are not attacking, but they are intercepting and turning back any ship that approaches Earth-controlled space without proper identification. What does Earth say about this? Demanded the Phloxian ambassador, their bioluminescent tendrils pulsing with agitation. Earth claims limited knowledge of these platforms, Voskrell replied. They acknowledge creating them centuries ago, but insist the activation protocols were automated and beyond their current control. Convenient, scoffed Ambassador Trang of the Helio Collective. Humanity has maintained the appearance of a minor power for centuries while hiding these weapons. We don't know that they're weapons, countered the Illuvian representative. They've had ample opportunity to attack and haven't. The debate might have continued for hours if not for the chamber doors sliding open. All eyes turned as a small delegation of humans entered, 4 individuals dressed in the simple blue uniforms of Earth's diplomatic corps. At their center walked a woman many recognized as Dr. Maya Chen, the historical consultant who had been with the original expedition. Representatives of Earth, Voskrell acknowledged, his tone carefully neutral. We were not informed you would be joining us today. The lead diplomat, a tall man with dark skin and silver at his temples, bowed slightly. We apologize for the unscheduled arrival, First Minister. I am Ambassador Samuel Okafor of Earth. Recent developments have necessitated our direct involvement. You mean the activation of your hidden fleet? The Phloxian ambassador chirped angrily. The Sentinel defense platforms are not a fleet, Maya Chen corrected, stepping forward. And they were never hidden, merely forgotten. A low murmur ran through the chamber. Dr. Chen speaks as someone who has interfaced directly with the Guardian designate SD7, Ambassador Okafor explained. With your permission, she will brief this council on what we've learned. Voskrell gestured for her to continue, his scales now a curious mix of colors indicating both skepticism and interest. Maya stepped to the center of the chamber, and the holographic displays shifted to show the interior of what appeared to be the command center of a military vessel, sleek, functional, and illuminated by soft blue lighting. What you're seeing is the bridge of the Guardian ship Vigilant, she began. I spent 5 days aboard after its activation. What we've discovered changes everything we thought we knew about Earth's early interstellar period. She gestured, and the display zoomed in on a portion of the bridge where a cylindrical chamber filled with a swirling, luminescent blue substance stood. This is the heart of Guardian SD7. It's not merely an eye or computer system. It's a quantum consciousness matrix. Within it resides the digitized consciousness of Admiral Eleanor Reyes, one of Earth's greatest military minds from the pre-treaty era. The chamber erupted in shocked exclamations. Impossible, Voskrell declared. Consciousness transfer technology is theoretical at best, even now. For most species, yes, Maya agreed. But humanity achieved it 3 centuries ago, during our darkest hour, what we call the Silent Years. She gestured again, and historical images filled the displays. Earth under siege from massive asteroid impacts, cities in ruins, populations sheltering underground. Before first contact with the Eridan, before the Treaty of Proxima, humanity believed we were alone, and that the asteroid bombardment that nearly destroyed Earth was a natural disaster. We only learned decades later that they were weapons deployed by the Shral Empire during their expansion era. Many eyes in the chamber turned toward the Shral representative, who shifted uncomfortably in his seat. The Shral abandoned that campaign when they encountered the Eridan, Maya continued. But humanity didn't know that. We believed we were facing extinction from an unknown threat. Project Sentinel was our answer. A defensive network that would endure even if humanity did not, commanded by our greatest minds preserved through quantum transfer. If what you say is true, the Alluvian representative said slowly, these preserved humans have been conscious for 3 centuries. No, Maya shook her head. The quantum matrices were designed to activate only when a threat was detected. They've been dormant, dreaming in a sense, until now. And now they're awake, Voskrell stated. All 12 of them. Yes, Maya confirmed. Each guardian is commanded by a preserved consciousness. Admirals, generals, scientists who volunteered to stand watch for eternity if necessary. Ambassador Okafor stepped forward. We come to inform you that Earth has established communication with all 12 guardians. They have accepted the reality of the current galactic political situation, but they remain cautious. Cautious, Voskrell repeated. They've established a blockade. A defensive perimeter, corrected Maya, which was their original purpose. As the debate in the Concordat chamber continued, light years away, Maya's recorded memories of her time aboard the Guardian ship played for Admiral Eleanor Rice, now existing as a quantum consciousness within the heart of SD-7 Vigilant. Within the ship's holographic interface chamber, the Admiral appeared as she had 3 centuries ago. A woman in her 50s with sharp features, graying hair pulled back in a tight bun, and eyes that had seen too much war. So that's why they woke me, she said, watching the final moments of Maya's recording. The Krell excavation team cutting into what they thought was merely an asteroid. They disturbed my ship. Beside her stood the holographic representation of Commander Wei, her XO and fellow consciousness, preserved alongside her centuries ago. Not just disturbed, Wei noted. They attempted to dismantle it for artifacts, like grave robbers. Admiral Rice studied the Krell faces in the recording. They didn't know what they were dealing with. That doesn't excuse them, Wei argued. The warning beacons were clear, in multiple languages. Languages change. Civilizations rise and fall. Rice shrugged. We slept for 300 years, Commander. The galaxy moved on without us. The holographic display shifted to show the current formation of all 12 Guardian ships, now positioned in a defensive array around Earth-controlled space, a perfect recreation of the defense grid they had been designed to create. The question is, Rice continued, what do we do now? We were built to protect Earth from extinction. Yet, according to Dr. Chen, Earth exists in a state of peaceful cooperation with dozens of alien species, including some that once tried to destroy us. The Shral, Wei nodded. They never even acknowledged their role in the bombardment. Because according to galactic historical records, it was a minor colonial expansion campaign, Rice said. To them, Earth was just another potential world to claim. They never knew how close they came to destroying us. And now they sit on the Concordat as equals to humanity, Wei said bitterly. Admiral Rice was silent for a long moment, considering the tactical display before her. Our purpose was never revenge, Commander. It was survival. Earth has survived, flourished, even if in a more modest way than we might have imagined. So we stand down. Return to hibernation. Rice smiled thinly. I didn't say that. Dr. Chen's report includes some concerning elements about how the galactic community views humanity as a minor power, technologically unimpressive, politically insignificant. That doesn't align with the Earth we knew, Wei agreed. No, Rice said thoughtfully. The Earth we knew had just survived near extinction and responded by creating us. 12 sentient warships with technology that apparently still surpasses much of what exists today. She gestured, and the display shifted to the data they had collected since awakening. Analysis of ships they had encountered, communication frequencies they had intercepted, technological assessments. We may have been sleeping, Commander, but our mission hasn't changed. We protect Earth. And sometimes protection requires respect. Back in the Concordat chamber, the debate had taken a darker turn. The presence of these Guardian ships represents an unacceptable military threat, the Shral representative insisted. If Earth cannot control them, Then the Concordat defense fleet must neutralize them. Any attack on the Guardians would be viewed as an act of war against Earth, Ambassador Okafor stated firmly. So you admit they are under your control, accused Voskrell. We are in communication with them, Okafor clarified. They are autonomous entities who have agreed to coordinate with Earth's government out of shared interest in our planet's security. Before the argument could escalate further, every communication device in the chamber chimed simultaneously. On personal displays and the chamber's main screens appeared the same message. Attention representatives of the Galactic Concordat. This is Admiral Eleanor Rise of the United Earth Defense Force, commanding Guardian Sentinel SD-7 Vigilant. All 12 Guardian-class vessels are now fully operational and coordinated. We have completed our analysis of the current galactic situation. We acknowledge the Treaty of Proxima and Earth's membership in your Concordat. However, we have also observed concerning patterns in how Earth and her colonies are regarded and treated within this alliance. Therefore, we will maintain our defensive position until the following conditions are met. 1. Formal acknowledgement of humanity's sovereign space, including the full defense perimeter as originally established. 2. Recognition of the Sentinel defense platforms as legitimate military assets of Earth. 3. The immediate cessation of all unauthorized archaeological expeditions in human space. We do not seek conflict. We seek only to fulfill our purpose, the protection of Earth and her people. You have 24 hours to respond. The message ended, leaving the chamber in stunned silence. Is this Earth's position as well? Voskrell finally asked, turning to Ambassador Okafor. The ambassador exchanged glances with his team before responding. Earth stands with the Guardians. For too long, we have allowed ourselves to be underestimated and marginalized within the Concordat. Perhaps it's time the galaxy remembered that humanity did not survive by being weak. 3 days later, Maya Chen stood on the observation deck of Earth's orbital diplomatic station, watching as Guardian ship Vigilant maneuvered into position nearby. Its sleek, dark hull absorbed the sunlight rather than reflecting it, making it appear like a ship-shaped void against the stars. They've accepted our terms, Ambassador Okafor said, joining her at the viewport. The Concordat will recognize the Guardians and our expanded territorial boundaries. They didn't have much choice, Maya noted. The technical analysis teams confirmed what we already knew. The Guardians possess technology that outmatches anything in the current defense fleet. Technology we created 3 centuries ago, Okafor mused. Makes you wonder what else is buried in our history. Maya smiled slightly. Admiral Reyes asked the same question. That's why she's requested access to all our research archives since the treaty. A quantum consciousness with a thirst for knowledge. Okafor chuckled. Should be interesting. A soft chime indicated an incoming communication. A holographic projection formed between them, showing Admiral Reyes in her crisp historical uniform. Dr. Chen, Ambassador, she greeted them. I'm pleased to report that all 12 Guardians are now synchronized and operating at optimal capacity. We've established a rotational defense pattern that should provide comprehensive coverage without appearing overly aggressive. Thank you, Admiral, Okafor replied. The Concordat representatives have ratified the agreement. Earth's position within the galactic community has been significantly reappraised. A ghost of a smile crossed the Admiral's holographic face. As it should be, we may have slept for centuries, but our purpose never changed. Her expression grew more serious. Dr. Chen, I've reviewed the complete historical records you provided. It seems humanity chose a path of quiet integration after first contact rather than asserting our technological capabilities. Maya nodded. The Treaty of Proxima was signed only 20 years after the Silent Years. Our leaders were grateful for peace and stability after coming so close to extinction. Understandable, Rise acknowledged, but perhaps not the choice we would have made. And now, Okafor asked, what choice will you make, Admiral? You and the other Guardians are, for all intents and purposes, independent entities with formidable power. Rice considered for a moment before answering. We were created to ensure humanity's survival, Ambassador. That mission hasn't changed. But survival takes many forms. Sometimes it requires strength, sometimes diplomacy. Sometimes it requires being underestimated. Maya finished softly. The Admiral's hologram nodded. A strategy Earth has employed effectively, it seems. Perhaps too effectively. The galaxy forgot what humanity is capable of when pushed to the edge. She gestured, and a tactical display appeared, showing the position of all 12 Guardian ships, now forming a protective network around Earth-controlled space. "We will not forget our purpose," Rice stated. "The Guardians will stand watch as we were designed to do. But we will also learn, adapt, and ensure that while the galaxy may someday come to respect humanity, they will never again make the mistake of dismissing us." As the hologram faded, Maya turned back to the viewport, watching as Vigilant activated its propulsion system, a soft blue glow emanating from its drive section as it moved into its patrol position. "You know what fascinates me most," she said to Okafor. 300 years ago, at our darkest hour, we created sentient ships commanded by the preserved consciousness of our greatest minds, technology that still surpasses much of what exists today. And then we simply set it aside, chose peace and cooperation instead of dominance. "And now?" Okafor asked. Maya watched as the Guardian ship disappeared into the darkness of space, becoming once again a silent sentinel, watching and waiting. "Now the galaxy remembers that peace was our choice, not our necessity," she said quietly. "And perhaps that's the most human thing of all. Not the technology we can create when threatened, but the restraint we show when we're not." In the vast darkness of space, the 12 Guardians resumed their eternal vigil, carrying within them the preserved minds of humanity's past, standing watch over its future, a reminder to the galaxy that sometimes the quietest species have the loudest roar when finally provoked. And somewhere within the quantum consciousness of Guardianship, Vigilant, Admiral Eleanor Rice permitted herself a small smile. After 3 centuries of silent sleep, humanity had finally remembered its strength. The galaxy would not forget again.